Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Ordos Deluxe from the True Off My Chest subreddit. It's come with multiple updates and is titled, "My wife told me to shut my mouth in front of a bunch of people at a kid's birthday party. My wife and I are at odds lately over her sister-in-law, who is also her best friend, who is married to her brother. Long story short, she bends over backwards to accommodate their every ask, including babysitting, errands, etc. This extends to volunteering me to help them out without my knowledge or consent, etc. She never sees my point of views or agrees with any criticism of them I have. We're at my nephew's birthday party today. My sister-in-law is one of the ones who's hosting it, so my wife is super keen for things to go well. Things were going okay. My daughter 3 was a bit upset because her balloon animal had accidentally been popped. So she's standing with wife getting a cuddle, and a boy older than her, 5 to 6, sprints into her and knocks her over. She's crying obviously, and I pick her up. My wife is making a joke of it, saying, "Oh, she needs to watch where she's going." I said back to her, "Don't blame her for getting bowled over by the bigger boy." Now, apparently the mother of this other kid was in earshot, which prompted my wife to tell me, in front of one of her other best friends and a couple of other guests, to shut my mouth. Then she had the cheek to tell me not to have a moody face. 15 minutes before this post, I sent an email to a divorce lawyer for a consultation. I finally reached my limit. And there was a couple of updates within the same post, so I'm not sure where the comments come in and where they don't. So we're going to carry on with the update first, and then we'll maybe go to the comments. So the update says, "Firstly, I'd just like to thank everyone for your responses, supportive or otherwise. Being heard and listened to is such a mental boost. I spoke to my solicitor first thing this morning and we had a good talk. He knows that I'm angry and upset at the situation, and he says that he will get myself and my wife in for a consultation if we decide to go down that route. The issue in Scotland is that for a divorce where only one party wants out, it can take upwards of a year to get it, and evidence of separation in that period, unless both parties agree to unreasonable behaviour. That's the reason for the courts granting the divorce. Long story short, I can't proceed without her buy-in if I want it resolved fast. So I took my daughter to my mum's after this, and then I sat my wife down. I told her that yesterday's situation was absolutely unacceptable, and that if I told her to shut her mouth in front of my friends, that I'd be getting crucified from everyone we know. I told her she was lucky I kept my mouth shut at the party, and that I didn't give a fuck about how sister-in-law would have taken it. We fought again about sister-in-law, and again she defended her actions, saying that I'm the selfish one who won't help out my family when they need it. I then did the perhaps petty move of dropping divorce leaflets I'd printed from my solicitor's website in front of her. I said to her, I absolutely want to help my family, and this is how I do it. I told her about how I was tired of playing third wheel in my own marriage, and I told her that I was not prepared to subject my daughter to a lifetime of this subservience. Finally, it looks like what I said had an impact. She cried, and I think she was close to having a panic attack. This made me feel guilty because fundamentally, I don't think she's a bad person. She's just brainwashed into thinking sister-in-law is the second coming of the Messiah. So she promised that when I finish work today, we can have a serious talk about things, and she will listen to my concerns. Right now, I'm not buying it, but I owe her and my daughter at least a chance to sort things out. So I'll see where it goes." To answer some questions folks had. I know this seemed like an overreaction to something, but you've got to understand this was the latest in a long line of sister-in-law related issues. Some folks have asked if my wife is gay and in love. I've thought about this as a possibility. I didn't ask her yet, but I may tonight. It certainly seems logical given how passionate she gets about it. Thanks everyone for reading, and especially all of you who have DM'd me. I appreciate it more than you know. Update 2. Hi again everyone, and thanks for all of your continued support and advice. I want to put another update on to let you know what's been happening. So we sat down last night for the crunch talks. I have to give her credit where it's due. She apologized for what she said at the party, and she said that she'd also have considered divorce if I'd done the same to her. I reiterated to her that my issue is that she completely makes herself subservient to sister-in-law at our expense. I pointed out how messed up it was that she didn't immediately take our daughter's side in this incident. The collision was accidental, I think, but I told her that to blame the little one was out of line, which she accepted. I then asked her outright if she had any sort of romantic feelings for sister-in-law. She squirmed and looked a little uncomfortable. She said that a long time ago at the end of high school there had been a drunken kiss on a night out, but nothing beyond that. She sort of played the angle that she didn't want anyone, especially her brother, to know about it, and that's why she bends over backwards to make sure sister-in-law is happy. I asked her if sister-in-law had ever threatened to reveal this incident, but she denies that it's even been brought up. She just thinks that if the wider family knew, it'd bring up a lot of weirdness. She swears that she has no interest in having any kind of relationship with sister-in-law, and that she is straight. I told her I didn't care about what she did that long ago, but that it needed to stop impacting our relationship in the present because I'm at the thinnest of thin hairs away from walking away forever. She surprisingly apologized again and said that she'd really try to work on it. I told her that I needed to see some proof of that so she can consider herself on probation. I told her that if I feel that has happened again, I'll be taking our daughter to stay at my mum's. She accepted this, so we're proceeding cautiously. Sorry if this isn't the update you were all hoping for, but I think it's the best thing for the three of us right now. Not sure if it's really relatable here or not, but it just brought back a story that we read. I think it must have been a couple of years ago or so now, where a wife kept volunteering the husband to do chores for people up and down the street. I think at first it was like mowing a neighbor's grass, and multiple people wanted their grass cut. And at first the husband was like, yeah, I don't mind helping a couple of elderly neighbors, but it got to more than that, to people literally coming round and say, oh, can you change the oil in my car and stuff like that. And he just became like a handyman for the street. And at the very end, he was like, I've had enough of this shit. And it turned out the wife was just like this huge people pleaser, had to be viewed in everyone else's eyes as like this great person and all this kind of thing, at the cost of her family and her husband. It was wild. And I'm glad OP did stand up for his daughter in that initial part of the post where she tried to make it like it was the daughter's fault, like, oh, she needs to watch where she's going. So I'm glad OP came in and said, don't blame her for getting bowled over by the bigger boy, because simply the daughter shouldn't be apologizing for things that just weren't her fault. But Junior Substance says, your wife sounds like this saying in Spanish, which I'll translate in English: light in the streets and darkness at home. My partner is a lot like this. He bends over backwards to people outside our home. I think he's trying to impress them or something. He give money, say yes to any outing, say yes to anyone in his motorcycle club who needs help, always available, takes days off to go to their functions, etc. Here at home, it's like trying to get teeth pulled to do anything with me or the kids. Don't get me wrong, he does do things, just very sporadic and not as enthusiastic as doing things for his buddies. Brown Eyed Girl says, definitely be cautious. It takes a lot for someone to change long term. She may be doing it temporarily just to get you to let your guard down. Make her prove it by not spending so much time with sister-in-law and brother-in-law. Also, I think there is more to the kissing thing. Tell her you're accepting that story hesitantly, and if things don't change drastically, you're going to dig further and talk to your brother-in-law and sister-in-law. I'm sure she won't want that, but if she's in love with her, that's something you need to find out sooner rather than later. They could be having an affair. I'd start digging a little. I didn't like that she said she would try to do better. It doesn't sound like she is sure. And one more comment from Donada24 who says, is this a common thing? How did she say it? It seems like there's more going on here because this seems like an extreme reaction. It is odd she wouldn't feel protective of the baby and oddly supportive of a rude first grader. My go-to would have been, dang, be careful and slow down, dude. And I might, probably I have before, gotten the bigger kid to apologize to 3-year-old. But I'm sure that's the other side of extreme reactions. I hope that if there's any possible way to work this out, through counseling together, and for her alone, you'll be successful. And if not, the divorce is as smooth, and you can get to keep being involved as much as you already are, because it seems like you really care about your daughter. Counseling would be great though. That anxious people pleasing will be passed right on down if it isn't helped now. OP then posted another one that said, my wife spent my birthday out with her friends. Continues, I've posted here many times about issues I've had with my wife. Most commonly with regards to her subservience to her best friend turned sister-in-law, SIL. She promised to try and work on things, given how much it's impacted our marriage. But today, I think we're past the point of no return. You see, today is my birthday. It's past midnight now though. This morning, my daughter, who is nearly 4, gave me hugs and kisses, which was great. My wife gave me a card and told me that my gift hadn't arrived in the post yet. My suspicion is that she's yet to order it or ordered it late, whatever it may be. I then logged into my work and did my shift like any other day. My wife was off work, while my daughter was at my mum's for a visit. Nothing special was planned for the evening because there were plans in place already. Just that those plans didn't include me. Sister-in-law and a couple of my wife's other friends had arranged to go out for dinner and drinks, because a voucher sister-in-law had for a particular restaurant expired soon. My birthday was the only date they could all make. Shitty, right? Gets better though, because my wife had a big social media post wishing me a happy birthday, saying how crap it was that I had to work all night on my birthday. A complete lie. But it does make her look less bad in public for not spending my birthday with me. The issue is, because she's done this, I now couldn't make plans with my friends or family without exposing her lie. So yeah, great birthday. When I think about how she'd react if I pulled half the shit she has pulled, I can't see it ending any other way than me getting screamed at, even though she's chosen to spend my birthday with sister-in-law instead of me. On the plus side, I did some Warhammer painting after I collected my daughter and played with her a bit before bed. She also asked why mummy wasn't here, which kind of crushed me. Am I wrong to be annoyed about this? Opie then comes in with another post and says, "Hi again. I just want to say, firstly, thank you very much for all your responses and private messages. Many of you were supportive, and many of you, rightly upon reflection, told me that I needed to grow some backbone and sort my shit out. I've been sitting on this for a few days because the full events of what had transpired since have blown my mind and have brought on some very harsh truths about my relationship. But I also wanted to see if what went down would actually stick, and so far it has. The fun question out of the way first. For those who are asking about my painting, I was painting some Thousand Suns Terminators. So, starting the day after my birthday, my wife initiated sex, and let me tell you, this was an occasion in itself. I legitimately could not tell you the last time that this happened. It's been that long. I'm thinking to myself, maybe she's feeling guilty about yesterday and she's trying to make it up. After the deed was done, she turns around to me and says, "Your present won't be here for another couple of days. That will have to do for now." I'm pretty disappointed at this point, not because I had a huge desire for a particular gift, but because she felt her behavior the day before was fine, and then for her to think I used sex to cover up my fuck up was also a bit of a blow. Whatever, I've sucked up worse before and powered through. What broke me was her opinion on sister-in-law's birthday. Long story short, for those who don't know, sister-in-law is possibly my least favorite person on the planet due to her parasitic behavior and main character syndrome. Coincidentally, it's a couple of weeks after mine. My wife told me all about her birthday plans for her. She wanted to get her a gift for her favorite massage therapist. What was the big deal? The shop only sells paper vouchers, and it's a 3-hour round trip to the shop. So off she went, again, leaving me with my daughter. And what commenced next can only be described as 3 hours of my brain simmering slowly towards an explosion. I took my daughter to my brother's house because I knew that when my wife came back, I was going to explode. When she came back, I was sitting in the living room with a bag packed for me, and in an admittedly petty move, one packed for my daughter. This immediately got her attention, and she demanded to know what was going on. I unloaded it all. It wasn't coherent, and I definitely got more emotional as I unloaded more grievances. I started by telling her it was unacceptable how she completely screwed up my birthday, while making sister-in-law's birthday a major priority. How I was sick of feeling like a third wheel in my own marriage. How I literally sacrificed my personality on the altar of keeping her happy. And how I never saw my friends anymore, yet she could do whatever she wanted. How I take care of the house despite working more hours than her for not even a shred of gratitude. How she used, lack of, sex as a tool of manipulation and control. I cried and shouted. She did the same and vehemently denied all of my accusations. She demanded to know where our girl was, and I told her. I told her that she would not be using her as a bargaining chip against me. We eventually calmed down enough to agree that I would keep her at our house, while she temporarily stayed with her mum and dad. I agreed to drop her off for visits while we worked things out. It's been a few emotionally exhausting days. I feel drained, spent, and tired, but I have my little girl, and I feel like I have done what I could. I don't know what my relationship status is right now. We haven't been speaking except to arrange drop-offs, and I'm comfortable with that for now. I need some more time before I consider more permanent steps. I have never unloaded on her like this before, but Jesus Christ, it felt good. Even if she continued to deny everything. I gotta be honest, I sort of felt like it was always going to go in that direction, but I can't help but feel more suspicious about the whole kiss thing. And then when it went to about the massage thing and the birthday and the shop only sells paper vouchers and it's a 3-hour round trip to the shop, I don't know. It might be totally true, but it just had me questioning a bit there. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Smart Palpitation 147 and says, "Am I the a-hole for forcing my daughter to learn sign language? I, 49 female, recently married my husband, 52 male, who has a deaf 7-year-old daughter. She communicates solely via ASL. For some background, my daughter, 17 female, is generally a very non-problematic teenager. She does amazing in school and has never caused any problems other than regular teenage hormone stuff. However, she doesn't like my husband and stepdaughter. She is not outwardly rude, but basically ignores their existence. Skips stepdaughter's birthday party, doesn't engage in anything other than basic small talk with husband. I did try to do family activities together to have the bond and all, but I stopped pushing it when it didn't happen. And as long as she's not being outwardly rude or harmful to them, I can't exactly punish her for not liking them. Now, since my relationship with my now husband started getting serious, I started taking ASL classes, and I'm now basically as fluent as a hearing person can be. My daughter, however, never made an effort, which is okay since she technically has no responsibility towards her. However, recently, my daughter has started watching stepdaughter paid when we aren't around, which changes things. In my opinion, since she is now spending time in which she is responsible for a young child, she needs to learn at least basic communication. When I brought it up to her, she outright refused to make any effort at all. I tried recommending YouTube videos, but she refused to try learning even a couple of words, saying she's not responsible for my choice to be in the life of a disabled child. This issue has also been causing a lot of problems in my marriage. My husband confided in me that he's starting to feel uncomfortable with his young daughter living with someone who is so cold she refuses to make even the most basic effort or engage with her at all. He's brought it up that he is considering divorce due to his concerns about how stepdaughter will be affected by this. So given all that, I had to finally put my foot down. I told my daughter that we have a disabled person living in our household for the foreseeable future, and if she wants to live here for college, graduating next month, she has to at least learn basic ASL. She doesn't have to like her stepfather and stepsister, nor does she have to hang out with them, but she has to have the ability to communicate with her for the sake of safety and basic decency. I made it clear that if she chooses not to, she is welcome to live in a dorm that I will pay for. It's just living in our house that is also my stepdaughter's house. My husband and I paid for the house equally, comes with basic rules. While my daughter hasn't spoken to me for 7 days. So, it's about time I ask, am I the a-hole? I'm going to start off with Alcoholic Coco says, everyone sucks here, except the youngling. Your daughter is the arsehole because she misplaces the frustration and emotional discomfort of your new marriage on her stepsister, the last person on earth who it should be put on. Maybe she even resents that you made her watch, paid or not. Your husband is the arsehole because he threatened you with divorce over this. Instead of talking and asking your daughter how she feels, or consider a different babysitter, he pulls out the nuclear option to your relationship. You are the arsehole because you throw your daughter under the bus for marriage's sake and threaten to kick her out instead of being a mother and trying to understand her and offer her a bailout, aka a different babysitter. Edit, disagreeing with my point of view is fine, but you don't need to DM me insults. Waste Edge says you're the a-hole for having your daughter babysit when she won't learn ASL. That's ridiculous, find someone else. I think you need to realize that from your daughter's perspective, this relationship is still relatively new, and as a near adult, she is less likely to see your stepdaughter as a stepsister. To her, you're changing the agreement, re her living at home for college. I don't think you're wrong, re ASL. To be honest, it's good to learn irrespective of living with someone who communicates this way. But you have some work to do here. You've moved people into a home that she doesn't like. This was always unlikely to go well. Whose Brandeis says info, when does she turn 18? And quotes, he has brought up that he is considering divorce due to his concerns about how stepdaughter will be affected by this. And then says, I'm going to divorce you unless you kick out your 17-year-old daughter or make her learn sign language. It's an ugly ultimatum. Opie responds and says she will turn 18 in 2 weeks. He didn't say he will serve me papers right now if I don't force her to learn or kick her out right now, but he said for the long term. This situation is unsustainable and harmful to stepdaughter's mental health and development. And if a solution is not reached, he'll be left with no choice but to leave for his daughter's sake. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for joining me today, getting involved in the stories. As always, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And hopefully, I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love to you.